Luke chapter 13, verse 6 through verse 9. And I'm reading from the New American Standard Version. If you have it, you can read along with me. And he began telling this parable. A man had a fig tree which had been planted in his vineyard, and he came looking for fruit on it and did not find any. And he said to the vineyard keeper, Behold, for 3 years I have come looking for fruit on this fig tree without finding any. Cut it down. Why does it even use up the ground? And he answered and said to him, remember, this is the owner of the vineyard speaking to the keeper of the vineyard. And here's the keeper's response. And he answered and said to him, let it alone, sir, for this year too, until I dig around it and put in fertilizer. And if it bears fruit next year, fine. But if not, cut it down. I want you to turn to your neighbor and shout to them, this is our year also. Our neighbor on the other side, shout to them, this is our year also. Amen. You may be seated in the Lord's presence. That's what I want to talk about this morning. This is our year also. What an amazingly powerful passage this is. This parable, this earthly story that has a heavenly meaning. Now, scholars vacillate as to how to define the different roles in this particular parable. We do know that the owner of the vineyard is God. Some scholars speculate that the vineyard is the world and that the vine dresser is Jesus and that the fig tree is Israel, God's chosen people. So if we follow that line of thought, God owns the vineyard. The vineyard is the world. But in the midst of the vineyard, he has planted a fig tree. The vine dresser, who is Jesus, has been instructed that I have come by for the last 3 years expecting to find fruit on this tree, and I have found none. Cut it down because it is taking up useful space. Now I want to challenge you in your thinking as we walk through by way of introduction elements contained just in these early verses. I want to challenge you to be able to see yourself in the language of Luke chapter 13, verse 6 through verse number 9. I want to ask you, first of all, by way of introduction, I'm going to give you a sentence. You can write down one word. The sentence I will give you is this: do you see the investment in this chapter? Do you see the investment in this chapter? If you're taking notes, you can write down the word investment. It's right there in verse 6 through verse 7. There is an investment. Watch verse 6. And he began telling this parable. A man had a fig tree which had been planted in his vineyard. Don't miss that. Because, Minister Ralph, normally what you plant in a vineyard or vineyard is grapes. Yet this man owns a vineyard or vineyard, but somewhere in the vineyard, in a space of open, fertile ground, he decided to plant the fig tree. That means that the man took something extra special and planted it in an already special place. That's how you ought to see yourself every morning. that the universe that God has placed you in is special, but you are extraordinarily special. God takes extra special things and places them in special places. He began telling this parable. A man had a fig tree which had been planted in his vineyard, and he came looking for fruit on it and did not find any. And he said to the vineyard keeper, "Behold, for 3 years I have come looking for fruit on this fig tree without finding any." Now, his next statement is, cut it down. Don't get mad at the owner of the vineyard, who has been supplying everything necessary in the area of oversight resources. He's been providing ample fertilizer. He has made certain that this fig tree is placed in a location that it should be able to flourish. And after 3 solid years of unproductivity, the owner of the vineyard says, cut it down. Why does it even use up the ground? He's saying that this tree was so unproductive until it was taking up space that could have been used by something more productive. Hey, he could have pulled up the fig tree and planted a pomegranate tree. He could have pulled up the fig tree and expanded his vineyard commercial operation. He says this tree is so unproductive until it is wasting the ground that it occupies. I would call that a significant investment. He has worked on it for the last 3 years. But not only do you see investment in this chapter, you see compassion in this chapter. Watch the response in verse 8 of the vineyard keeper. He says, and he answered and said to him, now let me authorize this thing. He responded, "Sir, I know you've been working on it for 3 years. I know you had me working on it for 3 years. I understand the history of the fig tree. But if you don't mind," now you can tell he's not being arrogant, he's not being demanding based on the term he used in responding to the owner of the vineyard. He said, "Let it alone, sir, for this year too, until I dig around it and put in fertilizer." Hey, you know what the vineyard keeper was saying to the vineyard owner? Just let me work on it. I know I hadn't done a thing in 3 years, but give me 1 more year just to work on it. I see investment in this chapter. I see compassion in this chapter. But then, Brother Darrell, I see a sense of urgency in this chapter. Watch how the vineyard keeper finishes his request in verse 9. He's already said to him, let me work on it another year. Let me dig around it. Let me fertilize it. Verse 9, and if it bears fruit next year, fine. But if not, I guess we'll have to cut it down. That's urgency, ladies and gentlemen. That means that God has been making an investment for 3 years. Jesus has come along to plead for an additional year and additional effort. If the tree produces fruit, fine. But if it does not produce fruit, cut it down. And I want to challenge you that this investment, this compassion, this sense of urgency should grip your heart the same way that it has gripped my heart, because it refuses to let my heart go. Because I am convinced that Luke 13 not only refers to Old Testament Israel, but it refers to New Testament you and New Testament me. And we may be on our last year of God making investments, Jesus pleading our case, and giving us another year to turn things around. I felt on the front porch of a new school year that a good place to sit down and have a picnic before you show up to school in the morning would be right here in Luke's Gospel, chapter 13. And I want to take this whole subject, break it into some pieces. I'm going to give them to you quickly because I don't want you mad twice, or glad twice, glad that I stood up and glad that I finally sat down. I believe, first of all, there is a word in my heart for every student. For every student in this room, God has placed a word in my heart about this upcoming year for you.
Yes, sir.
The Pastor Thorpe, what's the word? I'm so glad you asked the day before school.
All right.
For every student, every boy, every girl, this is your year to shine brighter.
Yes. All right.
There are two things in this room. We have them on the walls. I also have them located here on my cellular device. I have a thermostat and I have a thermometer right here. Sometimes y'all see me during service and I reach down for my phone. I'm not trying to text Jesus in church, but I'll reach down for my phone so that I can see there are 5 air conditioning units in this building, and I can tell what each one of them is set on. I can also tell the temperature inside of the room. The thermometer tells me what the temperature is. The thermostat allows me to set the temperature to what I want it to be. And the problem with a whole lot of our young people, you go to school and all you do is measure the temperature, and God has given you power to change the temperature. God is not sending you to school in the morning to simply register what everybody else is doing. God is sending you to school in the morning to let your light shine. So that somebody who is in darkness can see your light and come out of the darkness that they are in. I can assure you, you never know who's on the edge. And you don't know how close to the edge they really are. There's a word in my heart for every student. This is your year to shine bright. That ain't all. Some of the kids say, Pastor, move on. No, that ain't all. Second thing that God has placed in my heart for every student, every son, every daughter, not only is this your year to shine brighter, but this is your year to speak up louder. Which means, if you see something, say something. Some of you go to school with some timid children and you know that they're being bullied by someone in school. Here's what you don't want to have happen. You don't want to show up one Monday morning and find out that they hurt themselves or tried to hurt someone else over the weekend, and you knew it, you saw it, and did not say anything. Here's how bold we are as a church. If you don't feel comfortable telling an administrator at your school, you can dial 375-4850. That's the number right here at this church. And what you are afraid to do by yourself, we will walk with you to get it done. Time is out for incubating crazy people. Because the world, whether you know it or not, is in a season of calling everybody crazy. You don't buy an assault rifle. Cover yourself with body armor. Drive 10 hours. Commit an atrocity if you're mentally ill. But when do you draw a distinction between mental illness and evil? Because I'm going to treat you like there's a little bit of both in there. I'm going to pray for the ill part. I'm going to do something else to the evil. I'm trying to help you so it doesn't get that bad. This is your year to shine brighter. This is your year to speak up louder. Because someone at your school, this is going to be their first year there. They're not going to have any friends. They just moved into town. You see them sitting off by yourself, and you and your posse and your clique, y'all already thick. Y'all already tight. Y'all already lit. People already coupled off, caking on each other. Only the young people know what I'm talking about. Only young people know what caking is. Okay, young folks know what caking is. But you got to reach outside of your comfort zone to do something for someone else that you wish somebody would have done for you. This is your year to speak up louder. Hey, let me give you a third one, students. This is your year to see even further. You got to look further in 2019, 2020, which means you are building a record that will follow you. Not just with your peers, but with your leaders. See, some of you are so busy, young folks, trying to make a reputation and be popular with your peers until you done forgot about your teachers. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you saw one of your classmates grading papers? When was the last time you saw one of your classmates turning in grades? When was the last time you were one credit short from passing that class and one of your classmates asked you to show up for some extra credit? And can I share this with you for free? Anybody in here over 30?
Yes, sir.
Over 30. Anybody in here over 30 and you have a high school yearbook? Isn't it funny when you look through the yearbook that all of the people who were popular, ballers, shot callers, best dressed, voted most likely to succeed, voted most attractive, if you see them now, you'll be like, has time gone to you? We graduated the same year? My God, what has happened to you? And I can take you to my own high school yearbook and I can point out everybody who had it going on in high school. But they got it going wrong in adult life. And I want to say to all of our young people, you got to see further. You got to recognize that you are creating a record that will follow you. You don't know this, but teachers and school administrators communicate with each other. They look at their roster for their incoming students, and they contact the teachers and administration from the last class you were in
All right.
to get an idea of what they're going to be dealing with. And if your teacher says, now this from him, you got to watch them. You got to watch them. Can't trust nothing they say. They're going to ask you to go to the bathroom 12 times a day like they don't even have a bladder. And the reality is, they don't want to go to the bathroom. They want to play in the hall.
Yes, sir.
So young people, you got to be able to see even further. Learn how to respect authority because your future depends on it.
All right. All right.
See, there's a certain way you talk to each other. You text each other, you don't even spell out the whole word. I-K-R. You know what that means in a text? That means I know, right? That means like you tell me something, I already know it. I-K-R, I know, right? L-O-L, laughing out loud. R-O-L-F, rolling on the floor, laughing. I can say some of the others. Some of y'all parents need to learn some of these symbols. Because you're looking down at a phone and it looked like a fruit salad in the rain. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. And they setting up, ooh, look at my baby, setting up a picnic. You're going to have all kinds of fruit in the rain. I'm sorry, this is keep it 100 church. I don't even know what you're looking at. So screenshot it. You pay a bill on it. Screenshot it and do an online search. What do these mean? You're already asking people where the cheapest crabs are in town. Ask them what all them symbols and letters mean. Because it'll tell you some stuff. There is a word in my heart for every student. That's not all. There is a word in my heart for every parent. A word in my heart for every parent. Pastor, what word has God placed in your heart for parents? I'm so glad you asked. You all ask such wonderful questions after you've been feeding them and clothing them all summer long. This is the first thing God has given me to share with you, Mom and Dad, to share with you, Grandmom, Granddad, parent, or guardian, whatever role you serve in. Here's what you ought to be able to say of yourself. This is my year to show up more often. This is my year to show up more often. Let Beyonce have a concert on Friday in Orlando. You'll take the whole day off just to get your outfit together, to get on the road early so you can go to all of the pre-parties and be ready for the after party. But when your child's teacher asks for a parent-teacher conference, you act like you can't get off your good job. When it's open house and nobody from your house shows up to the school's house, you're sending a message to your children and you're sending a message to their teacher and to the school's administration. Parents, this is your year to show up more often. They ought to know your face. Because as quiet as it is kept, the more they know you care, the more they are influenced to care. When they know they got backup at the house, they're more encouraged to work harder in the classroom. So parents, your testimony ought to be, this is my year to show up more often. That's not all. There's a second thing in my heart for parents. Parents, your prayer ought to be, this is my year to pop up more often. Gotta do some pop-ups. My mama, especially, and my dad, thought I was an angel. And I was too. It was Rosie. K through 12. I was an angel. My parents had it correct. I was an angel. What they did not know was, in the Bible, there are 3 different kinds of angels. There's one angel, his name is Michael. He was the warfare angel. Another angel, his name was Gabriel. That was the word angel. And then there was a third angel, his name was Lucifer, and he was the worship angel. Depending on what day you caught me, I was all through. Some days I was caught up in warfare. Other days I was caught up with word, talking too much. And other days I was acting the devil. And it took some popping up. So you can see how angelic they really are. They your little angel, yes. Some angels got horns. And you need to know how to show up and clip them horns off. Messing up your good name. This is your year to pop up more often. Here's a third one for parents. You ought to be able to say, this is my year to pay closer attention. Parents, you spend a lot of time on your phone. You need to spend more time on your knees. You spend a lot of time in the den. You need to spend some time in your closet. Where you shut down everything and have a conversation with God, and you say to him, God, I don't know everything, I can't see everything, but you are everywhere at the same time. Lord, help me to see in the spirit what is manifesting in the natural. So that as things change in your children, you can spot it a mile away. Because some stuff your kids can get into at an early age, and psychologically and physically, they may never recover. Amen. We learned recently in Vacation Bible School that the weed of 2019 is not the weed of 1979. All right. We learned that the weed of 79 was just weed. We also learned that this 2019 weed got other stuff added to it. It's got all different kinds of names. Don't tell it now. Some of y'all say, Pastor, don't get it on him. Make sure you go to this street over here. That's garbage over there. This stuff they sell over there, Pastor, that's the real deal. And I don't know what's wrong with this generation. I don't know. I saw it last night. I don't know what's wrong with this generation where you think the only people who can see your social media accounts are the people that you know. We had a vacancy here at the church, a position that needed to be filled. We had a young man who expressed that he was interested in that position. And I was looking for him to hire him for the position. I contacted the last place I knew him from. They gave me his name. I went to social media. I looked up his name. I read his most current post on his Facebook page and said he could never work him. One of the first places potential employers look is your social media page. And if everything on your page is jacked up, you done took your whole summer check, cashed it, got $200 bills on the top, 75 ones in between. And you around here talking about stacks. Because that ain't no stack. That ain't no stack. And all that money is spent. And if you got stacks, maybe you ought to be having to pay some rent. And putting a little something on the mortgage. Because if you balling like that and somebody else still washing your clothes. Okay. Y'all don't like me. But parents, we got to pay closer attention so that you can see the changes in your children. The changes in their eating habits. Because somebody told them that they were overweight. And now they're eating and going into the bathroom and throwing up everything that they eat. You got to learn the difference between the smell of edge control and the smell of blunt control. What's that funny smell? That's this new spray on the... No, that ain't. That is Black and Mild with good weed in it. And you got to let the Lord show you the difference so that you know what you're looking at. Because, remember now, because some of your parents are saying, well, when I was their age, I smoked a little, I drank a little. But this stuff they ain't got none. Ain't the stuff from your childhood. This stuff now have been trying to jump out the window. Thinking they can fly. You taking them to the doctor to see if they pre-menopausal. No, they ain't why they that hot. They done took one of these synthetic drugs that's burning them up on the inside. So there's a word in my heart for every student. There's a word in my heart for every parent. I'm closing. There's a word in my heart for every member in this church. Pastor, what has God placed in your heart? I want to say to every member in Faith Church, this is your year to volunteer. Not regular church volunteer. That's good. That's important. We will always need greeters. We will always need ushers. But we're also going to need a group of people to meet with the administration at Eastside to get their prayer lists. To find out from the principal, the assistant principal, the head of the math department, the head of the English department, the head of the reading department, what can we pray for on your behalf? Pastor can't do everything. I can only be in one place at a time. And it's going to take some volunteers on your day off. And those of you who are retired. Because some of us, we think about what we do all day. And ask yourself, how productive are you really? You think you're losing weight by watching exercise shows? I'm going to get this weight off me. Watching the show ain't going to do it. REM sleep, that's rapid eye movement, that ain't going to do it. That's just my eyes getting skinny. That's not how it works. This is your year to volunteer. Here's a second. This is our year to give more. To give more. I'm not talking about your money, but I am talking about your money. That doesn't make any sense. I mean that our giving needs to be deliberate. Because one of the things we will be doing in this upcoming school year is we will find a period where we will allow the administrators from 4 different schools to give us a wish list of items that they need in their classroom that are not in their budgets. And through that wish list, I'm going to bring it to you all, and I'm going to let you give the things that are on the list.
Yes, sir.
One of the most important roles in our society are the people you turn your child's mind over to to train them all day long.
Yes.
Roughly 180 days a year, they are influenced by people outside of your home.
Amen.
And they're often some of the most underpaid and underappreciated people who got to put up with a whole lot of stuff. It would be one thing, see, I came along, Sister Thomas, where when the teacher walked in and said, good morning, the response was, good morning, Mrs. Wilson. Turn your books to page 379. And she called the roll. Johnny Matthews, present, Mrs. Wilson. Now they take roll. Kids shout back, true that. And then he said, and teachers are having to focus more on maintaining order in the classroom than they are on teaching and giving instruction.
All right.
State government has put so many responsibilities on principals and put so much responsibility on local school boards until school boards are nearly terrified of what's coming down from Tallahassee. Then the school board takes their frustrations, hands it down to the principals. Principals are terrified of what decisions the school board is making.
All right.
Then the principals take their frustrations, hand them down to the teachers. Teachers are terrified of what the principals are asking for. School board scared of the state. Principals scared of the school board. Teachers scared of the principals. And the church ain't scared of nobody. So this is our year to give more to things like school supplies and the outdoor events that we'll continue to do on Sunday mornings to help us to reach out to other people, the scholarships that we will give. I want to challenge some folks in this church who got some long-term vision. And be willing. You know, one thing, I'm going to lead the way. I'm going to lead the way. Lord's willing, this week, I am going to lead the way. I am going to establish an endowment fund this week so that when I pass away, children in this church will go to college with a free ride. I want to challenge some of you to do the same. You can do it at minimal cost. You ought to already be doing it for the children in your family. But we ought to be able to do it even here in the confines of our church. Now, if you are a young person in this room on your way going to college, do not pour nothing in my water. The pastor said, it's like the little boy said to his granddaddy, Granddaddy, croak like a frog. He said, what? He said, Granddaddy, croak like a frog. He said, I don't know nothing about croaking like no frog. He said, you know how to do it, Granddaddy. Croak like a frog. He said, where are you getting this from? He said, Grandmama told us you can croak like a frog. He said, tell me exactly what your grandmother said. All right, Grandmama says that whenever you croak, we going to Disneyland. Don't put that in my water. We watch it. We watch it the whole time. That's why we have these covers on. Did you put that in there? I'm going to go to school. You're going to jail.